Our fly-in, fly-out Prime Minister is torn to shreds for scoffing ice cream and chugging beers for 3 days at the tennis instead of helping the people of Alice Springs. Now, we have later on the show the Mayor of Alice Springs about that ABC non-apology, so can't wait to chat to him. Stick around for that. But Albo, he flew into the crime-ridden town of Alice Springs for just 4 hours. It was a kick in the guts, according to many. Now, we'll also talk about the alcohol ban that might be happening in the Northern Territory that Andrew Clennell was just talking about. But first, Rita, what did you make of fly-in, fly-out Albo, his 3 days at the tennis, the apology, etc. from the ABC for calling Alice Springs a bunch of white supremacists? Lots happening.
There is a lot happening there, and the media reaction has been quite astonishing to see, because we saw the meltdown when ScoMo spent a week with his family in Hawaii when we had the bushfires happening. Here we have a crisis that is actually of government policy. This is territory and federal level Labor policy that has helped see this mayhem in the NT. Particularly we've seen in Alice Springs the crime rate soar, violent crime soaring. And for the Prime Minister to almost be shamed into visiting for just a few hours and then fly out again and then feel comfortable spending 3 days enjoying the corporate hospitality at the Australian Open. And the bulk of the media, we've got to say, has given him a pass on this. There has been a few bits of criticism, but it has been in the minority, James.
Well, and, you know, it's very, very telling, because if you even mention this story, you know, in certain circles, like on Twitter and in the whole leftosphere, they say, oh, you're having a go at Albo for having a beer at the tennis. No, let's be really, really clear here. No one is begrudging the man a beer. Albo, have a beer, the same way it was fine for Tony Abbott and ScoMo and Bob Hawke and everybody else to have a beer.
A beer and an ice cream.
Well, the beer and the ice cream.
It kind of doesn't work for me.
He certainly was enjoying that ice cream, and the less we say about that, the better. It is a Sunday morning. However, I will say that this really does feel very much, you know, like that sort of Hawaii vibe with Scott Morrison. You know, Alice Springs is virtually burning. You know, Alice Springs is in an absolute crime crisis. He has to be dragged, absolutely kicking and screaming out there. He goes very grudgingly, quite clearly grudgingly, won't bring any press along, and now he's got this report, which we are not allowed to see the contents of for another week, or I don't know how long. They haven't acted, and the whole thing gets back to this whole issue of course, the voice, and it just sets up the perfect contrast between reality and symbolism, and the voice is just another layer of bureaucratic symbolism, which would do nothing.
Well, we'll get to that. Absolutely, we'll get to that in a sec. But let's have a listen to Albo defending his trip. What drives me mad about this guy is there's no, as you said, it's all the optics are dreadful, beer and ice cream and all the rest when Alice is burning. But what does he actually say? Where are the policies? Where are the ideas? It's all, oh no, it's not my fault, it's previous government's faults and this sort of thing. Have a listen.
I think Mundine and Jacinta Price have also said that you spent too much time at the tennis and not enough time in Alice Springs. What's your response to that?
Well, I'm you know, I'm not going to get into a personal discussion. I work each and every day. I've worked. I didn't have time off over the Christmas period. That's my job.
Well done to Erin Molan for keeping a straight face during that. But seriously, this guy is so ordinary as a Prime Minister. I mean, there is nothing there. There's no inspiration, there's no leadership, there's no sense that these are issues which he has to get to grips with. We're being sold a pup, and forget the clowns that he's surrounded himself with as well.